David, Prodigals, amazing movie. I cannot say enough about it, but I'm going to let you tell my viewers what made you decide to become a part of the movie.
Okay. My producing partner Jameson, who plays Greg in the film, um, played Greg in the original stage play in 2009. So there were two iterations of that. They did run in 2009, 2011, and I saw them and I thought it was great. And then Jameson came to me one day in 2013 and was like, "We should make a movie. I want to play Greg again." And I was like, "That's great. Let's do it." It was a great story.
And so it's been a long time coming. You've known this story for quite some time.
Yeah, so I've known this story, I guess, for like 8 years, but it's come a long way from the first production, for sure.
So was yesterday's screening the first time you'd actually seen the full thing come together?
No, I was pretty involved in all the different cuts as it went along. Um, so I have seen this version before. It was my first time seeing this version in front of other people, or with other people rather. So that was really cool because we had a locked cut. Um, I guess in August, and that's when we started sending to distributors and stuff. And so we were talking to a distributor, and he was like, "Yeah, this is great. We'll take it on." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then like a month ago, he was like, "So I've been trying to sell it overseas, and can you cut 15 minutes out of it?"
Really?
Yeah. So we're like, we'll try, which is I guess more than he thought we were going to do. So we cut 14 minutes out. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it was an interesting process. We definitely sped up the credits a lot, so that took a couple minutes out. Yeah, yeah. Put more columns in, speed that up. And then we started lifting entire sequences out. So not just a scene, like a set of scenes, or like entire chunks of scenes, which was really difficult because Nick, who wrote the shooting copy of the screenplay, he did such a good job of weaving storylines together and integrating things so that there's a payoff. Like every 3 scenes, there's a setup and then another payoff, and a setup and another payoff. So it was really hard to lift stuff out because then we kept missing story points. But our fearless director and editor, Michelle, she managed to weave it together beautifully, and I'm really happy with the finished product.
So were there some characters that might have been bigger in the original,
Yes.
and now they've gotten into a smaller role?
Definitely. A few. Um, but at the same time, I think we actually streamlined the story, and I think it's a better product now than it was before.
So now that it's down to that time frame, are you going overseas? What's happening with that? Do you know?
We're gonna come out spring summer 2018. So look out for us. As of right now, we're currently in talks with a sales agent and our distributor. So we're trying to figure out what we're gonna do, but we are gonna be going across the country in what we're calling a small town homecoming tour. So we're going. Anybody who was involved in the project, if they're from a small town, anywhere across the country, we're gonna try to hit those cities on our way across. We're gonna go west to east. Yeah.
So obviously there will be a stop in Sault Ste. Marie as well. Yes.
There is most definitely gonna be a stop in Sault Ste. Marie.
Now your character Benny, you got to feel for the guy, which is weird because at first, and we won't give too much away, but at first you're watching and you're like, well, yeah, he's guilty. That's it. And then halfway through the movie, you're like, is he though?
Well, it's tough because there are a lot of cases that are similar where somebody suffers the ultimate price accidentally, um, and many people are on one side of the fence or the other. And I think what was really unique about this opportunity for me is that I got to play a real character. It wasn't a stereotype, which at first you think it's going to go that way. It was really cool to kind of try to justify it and try to help people see the other side, one way or the other, depending on what side of the fence they're sitting on. So it was really fun. And the other thing I just want to say about working with this cast was we had such a great ensemble. We had so many good actors, and because I was producing it as well, I was on set every day, and I just got to learn so much from all the other actors. Like Brian Markinson is just a force of nature. Like that guy is absolutely amazing. Sarah Canning, she's such a diligent actor. She works so hard, and she brought a character to life that was just a real person. And it could have gone like that character could have gone in a completely different direction, but you just feel for her. Sarah did such an amazing job. I mean, David Alpe, great actor. Andrew Francis, Kennedy O'Horn, like they're both so good. And of course, like I love working with Jameson. Jameson is one of my favorite characters in the whole movie. Greg, he's so funny. I guess Greg's kind of modeled after the Shakespearean fool, the wise fool. He's so good. So many just laugh out loud moments and some really, really poignant moments with him. I think everyone did a great job, and like I said, really fortunate to have gotten the opportunity to work with everybody and learn from everybody.
It's funny that you say that, because you can tell just by watching this film that the cast all really worked well together, and you do have a great list of talent. You don't turn it on and think, oh yeah, this is an indie, or there's just that. It's got that, not bashing indies in any way whatsoever,
Right.
but it's just got that extra little bit of something that you're like, yeah, this is gonna do well.
Totally. Nick did a really, really good job adapting Sean's first draft of the screenplay. I didn't mention him before, but Nick is such a solid actor too. Like there's one scene between him and Sarah Canning that's it just guts me, because you feel for him so hard, and her, and you don't know who to support. It's such a good scene. So it was well written by him, well performed by both of them. They all did such a good job. I'm really happy with it.
And here you are at the Whistler Film Festival, so you're obviously doing this whole circuit, and then what's next for you, aside from trying to get it overseas and that whole thing? What projects are you working on that you're allowed to talk about?
Okay, well, second season of White Ninja is going to be coming out soon, which is really exciting, because the last time I was up in Whistler 2 years ago was the world premiere of the first season of White Ninja. So that's really exciting. That's online. It's animated web series starring Paul Scheer. So that's really fun. That's going to be coming out in a couple weeks. I've got a small recurring role in Siren, which is Freeform's new series. That's coming out March 29th, International Mermaid Day. Check it out.
Is that a true
That's
fact?
a good thing. Check it out. There's hashtags. There's people following all over the world. It's really exciting because there's a mermaid school on Vancouver Island, and they'll teach you how to swim with the fin.
That's not a thing.
It's totally a thing.
Did you do it?
No, I'm not a mermaid. Nor a merman.
No, merman. What do you play in Siren? Are you allowed to tell us?
I play the lovable stoner who works at the Marine Mammal Research Center, and I got to work with sea lions, and it was so much fun. So much fun.
It's better than mermaid classes.
Definitely better than mermaid. Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a very good swimmer, so maybe I need some mermaid classes. Maybe a fin would help. And yeah, other than that, we got a couple other animated shows that I'm working on right now, doing some voices, and looking forward to the new year to see what's gonna pop up.
Now, having spoken with you before and knowing you a little bit, you're not the type of guy that Benny comes off as, which means that your acting is impeccable.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. But the roles that we're going to see you coming up in, can you say are they similar? Do they completely differ from the other?
Different from Benny. They're totally different from Benny. They're a little more David, which is nice. But they're a little larger than life. And they're so much fun to play. Like, the one thing about Benny was I got to go to a place where it was actually a little bit scary. It was a little bit scary, but it was really interesting to put myself in those shoes. And it was really interesting to kind of live and breathe as Benny for a couple weeks.
Are you ever afraid that you won't completely come out of that role? Like that something will twinge in your mind and you'll be stuck in a certain spot?
Not for Benny specifically, but when I played Casey in Cadence, that one was a little harder to come back from. Like, I had like a little physical touchstone, like my ring that I'm actually not wearing right now. At the time, I was wearing it every day. I would take it off when I went to set, and then when I come home, I would put it back on. But that was just like a little physical touchstone for me to be like, okay, David's home now. But that one was a little bit harder to shake.
Now that one's Arun Friars.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So Cadence is a film produced by Arun Fryer and Nicholas Ayerbe Barona, and it was written and directed by Alex Lasharas, starring Maxine Chadbourne, Charlie Kerr, myself, and just a few other really, really great people and actors. And that was basically about Cadence, played by Maxine Chadbourne, who has her pop star boyfriend, Taylor Lake, over to the family farm while her parents are out of town. And his friends, Casey and JJ, played by myself and Tony Drew, show up for a little bit of fun. Things get a little dark. Some people start dying, and it gets a little horror thriller from there. And we're kind of pressed, or the audience is pressed to figure out what is reality and what is an alternate hallucinated reality in the traumatized Cadence.
So why do you think in that role in particular it was a little bit harder to come away from than, say, Benny?
I don't really know. I guess I did a lot of research with a cognitive behavioral therapist, and one of the things we talked a lot about was the differences between sociopaths and psychopaths, and trying to figure out which one Casey was. And so operating in like a completely different headspace. Like, Benny's just a normal guy who's gets short end of the stick. Casey is someone who is operating under the surface level, and just to kind of get into that headspace, I would need to go way further away from who I am on a day-to-day basis, and so sometimes it was hard to reel that back in at the end of the day.
No doubt. Yeah. Well, we got to get back to David.
Yes.
And David's socks.
David's socks.
I need to know about these socks.
Okay, so these are socks that I actually got specifically for shooting in Sault Ste. Marie.
Really?
Yeah.
To keep you warm.
To keep me warm. And actually, the jacket I'm wearing as well, I got specifically for that shoot, because we shot 18 days in Vancouver, and then we shot 6 days in the Sioux. And, it was winter here, but we're talking like 0 degrees. And then we went to the Sioux, and we're shooting outside for like 14, 15 hours in minus 30.
And your lens actually froze at one point.
Yeah, so there's this one scene in the movie where they're digging up a time capsule in Wesley's former backyard. And the lid froze shut, so the actors are both trying to pry the thing open, and they're having a hard time. And we had to put it in the film as a oneer, that scene, because the gears on the camera froze shut. And we had hot shots and like an electric blanket keeping the camera warm. We had the camera in the car in between takes with the heater going. We had warmers specifically for the batteries, so they would continue to work. But at some point, the gears just froze shut, and we couldn't focus the camera anymore, so we had to call it a day.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was.
But your feet were warm because you chose the right socks.
Feet were toasty.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, David.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Anytime.
Cheers.